Good evening, Dr. Akins. How are you?
Doing wonderful, sis. Are you?
I am doing well.
Good to see.
Good to see you as well. Great evening, ladies. How are you all?
Oh, good evening. I'm doing great today. I'm doing good. Can't complain.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I'm just starting here. I have to do some new stuff here, so every time I think I have it right, I'm starting something different.
Mhm.
But anyway, I got it together here. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Rock Provide Gospel Radio. Good evening. Where your host is I am, Evangelist Green. Good to see everyone. Good to know that you're on. If you're not on, I hope you do come on. Monday through Fridays from 9 to 10:30, and on Sundays from 8 to 9 a.m. Where you hear Reverend Green bringing the word. Our nightly discussions, you can join in by calling 718-474-77. I'm sorry, wrong number. 718-300-1772. You can call in, voice your opinion, or just say hello. If you like, you can download the app in your app store or your Play Store, Rock by Gospel Radio, or you can watch live on YouTube. Where we streaming YouTube live, you can watch that. We have Facebook. Come on in, join us, join us. You're more than welcome. And tonight we have Dr. Akins in the house. As usual, every Wednesdays we have Dr. Akins. Welcome, Dr. Akins, and everyone else that's online. It's good to
I
see
don't
you
want
all.
to go.
It's
What
good
can
to
I
see
do?
you all. Excuse me, Reverend Green. Dr. Green, you saying something? Okay, he's not saying anything. Anyway, it's good to see everyone. Heavenly Father, we're here as humbly as we know how, giving you thank you. Thank you for this day that we haven't seen and we won't see again. Heavenly Father, hear our prayer individually and collectively, dear Lord. As we go through the rest of the evening, dear Lord God, keep protecting direct us, dear Lord. As we're here on Rock by Gospel Radio, dear Lord, we have Dr. Akins here, dear Lord. Let him be able to bring forth his words, your words, or whatever he's going to bring forth, dear Lord, so we all can be able to hear it, listen, understand, and go by what he's going to say, dear Lord. We ask you all these blessings through your Son, Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen. Okay, Dr. Akins all on, is all on you now.
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me loud and clear?
I hear you. I hear
All
you.
right, fantastic. Well, good evening, good evening, great evening. Big salute to Dr. Green, sir. Good to have you on the line with us. Evangelist Green, as always, good to
Amen.
have you here as well. And to everyone in the Zoom room, we appreciate you being here. And everyone else on the multiple platforms, good evening and welcome to another session. We're talking about effective ways to get unstuck, right? Effective ways to get unstuck. And we're going to help you. So if you haven't been with us up until this point, welcome. And we're going to try to catch you up really quick on some of the things that we've been talking about. And listen, as I go through all these number of ways, very effective ways to get unstuck, I want you to understand that it's no one way in particular. It can be one of these ways or a number of these ways collectively that can help you get out of the position that you're in and into the position that you want to be. And so, if you ever find yourself being stuck, here are some things that you can do. But as in most instances, if you're stuck, sometimes it's hard to get unstuck by yourself. And so, you may need leadership, you may need mentorship, you may need coaching, or you may need some modeling to help you in that process. And if that's the case, never be afraid to go seek out the help, right? Get the help that you need, right? So it's very important. All right, we've covered 14 ways so far, and I think we got about 35 total. But we've covered 14 up until this point. So I'm just going to do a quick recap of the 14. I'm not going to do a deep dive. I'll just tell you what they are. Number one is to identify what you really want. We have to know that, right? Know what you want. Number two is to know why you want it, right? Because what is why and why is what, right? And so you have to know what you really want, but you also have to know why you want it. Number three is to tell the truth to yourself about yourself because it's only the truth that liberates, right? And so we have to be 100% honest with ourselves. And then being honest with ourselves allows us to be honest with others. Because if you're getting coaching, if you're getting mentorship, if you're getting leadership, or if you have a role model that you entrusted your life to, um, they can only help you if you're honest. right? So you have to be truthful, honest, and transparent, and even vulnerable to a degree to allow them to be able to help you. Number four, be completely honest about the past, because the past, listen, no matter what you do, there is no way for you to have a better past. The past is what it is, right? And so the only thing you can do is leverage it, but you have to learn how to leverage the past and leverage it properly, right? Find out your takeaways. What are the data points? I'm going to tell you a good way to understand how to deal with the past is think about watching a movie for the first time. And when you watch it, or let's say you watch a documentary for the first time, or you watch something on YouTube for the first time. And then when you watch it, after you've seen it, it's in the past. So what you can do is you can leverage what you've seen, what you've experienced by getting the takeaways from it, right? And so you want to get all of the lessons learned. Takeaways are the lessons. What are the valuable lessons learned from what you saw, what you heard, or what you experienced? And you take those lessons with you, and you leave the experience in the past. Does everybody understand that? Right? And that's the important thing that I want you to understand, because there's no way to have a better experience if you've had it in the past. There's no way. Right? And so the only thing that you can do is get the takeaways from it so that you can leverage those takeaways in the present as well as in the future. Okay? So be completely honest about the past. And then when you're honest about the past, number five is to look for patterns or trends. What are some of the patterns that you've seen from your experiences, things that you've dealt with in the past? Learn about those patterns, learn about those trends so that you can get the help that you need. Number six, name three things that you have done in the past that you can no longer do. Because when you see those patterns, when you see those trends, now you have to identify that, you know what, I did this and I've done this multiple times, and I continue to get that same negative outcome. And so here are three things that I can no longer do based on the data, not how you feel, but based on real data. Here's my data points. This is what I learned about me. Forget about the experience. What did I learn about me? And based on that, here are three things that I can no longer do. Then number seven is to surrender completely, because it takes what it takes, right? You have to be willing to do that. It's hard to coach a person if you're uncoachable, right? It's very difficult to do that. It's hard to lead a person who doesn't choose to follow. Okay? So it's important that we surrender completely. It takes what it takes, and be willing to do what it takes. Number eight, decide if the price is too much to pay, because once you know what it takes, you have to make that decision, right? You got to make a choice, a vow, and you got to make a choice, a commitment, and then a vow never to quit. And the thing is that price too high? Okay. Then number nine is you have to gather some new information. So now you got to learn some new things. I got to be willing to see it and do it differently. The number 10 is to go to an altitude at which pressurization in a given situation is no longer required. I got to go to 10,000 feet. I got to rise now above the situation, the circumstances where I am, and I've got to see it, right, with a bird's eye view, looking down at the situation and saying, okay, you know what, I have to be willing, right, to get myself above the pressure, right, so that I can really see what needs to be done and actually go about doing it. Then number 11 is to set a date to start with an estimated date of completion. Okay. We have to have a start date. Most people know exactly what they should do, but they never get started. So we got to get in motion. You got to get started. And once you get started, number 12 is you got to move your body. You got to refer to your action plan. Look to your action plan and see what you're supposed to do. One of the great things about being successful or productive throughout each and every day is to itemize your 24-hour day and mirror that from week to week. Okay, I talk about these things often And it's just noise to the person who hears it and doesn't do it. But to the person who actually does it, they understand the value of having a conversation like this, right? And so when I look back over my day and I say I itemize my 24-hour day to day, then I can look back over that day, or I can look back over yesterday and I can see the things that I did throughout that day. And I have like a pretty robust schedule that I follow every day. And it doesn't have everything on it, but it has most of the highlights, especially like my non-negotiables, things that are necessary, things that are important, right? Those things are on my daily list. So I know exactly what I'm supposed to do and what time I'm supposed to be doing, right? And so it helps you to stay regulated, it helps you to stay on task even when you're knocked off track, because the goal is not to stay on track, because things are going to knock you off track every day. The goal is to remain on task. So even when you're knocked off track, you can still remain on task. So I get back to what I need to get back to, right? And so you have to think about all the things that you're doing and the things that you need to get done each and every day. And so, like tomorrow, I already know what my Thursday is going to look like. And so when I start looking at my Thursday, I kind of have an idea of where everything is supposed to be. And then I put my notifications in my phone, and they're constantly telling me how I'm supposed to be moving from event to event, right? And so I'm extremely productive by doing that. Yes, yes, Ms. Carr.
Can you explain the difference of being off task and off track?
Yeah, you get knocked off track every day because you're going to have incidentals that are going to come up. Sometimes it'll be emergency. Sometimes you have to do something for someone else. Being on task means I'm headed to a destination. I'll give it to you in a driving sense. If you get on the road and you have a destination that you're headed to, right? But a detour would knock you off track because I'm supposed to be going this way, right?
Mm-hmm,
Because,
mm-hmm.
and then a detour is being knocked off track. I'm eventually going to get back on task, right?
Okay.
Because my task is to get from where I am to where I want to be. Sometimes detours are going to knock you off track. So that means I have to reroute myself to get back on task. And that's the same mindset that you have to have. So you have to have I like to call it a GPS mentality, where you're constantly rerouting every day because things are going to knock you off track all the time. And when that happens, I'm still on task, right? So today I was, because I don't have a lot of wiggle room, I may have 5 to 10 minutes between event to event. Sometimes I go straight from one event to the next event, but I go from event to event or with a window of 5 to 10 minutes in between those tasks, right? And so today, my daughter asked me to take her to get her nails and stuff done. That wasn't written into my plan, so that knocked me off track, right? And so because it knocked me off track, then by the time I got back home, I was already into an evolution. So I had to go to my phone, look at my phone, see the time, see the block, and then I had to get in it right then. So I may not get the full time that I wanted to give to it. But here's what I tell you is what you don't want to do is you don't want to say, well, I didn't get a chance to do it, so I'm not going to do it at all. You don't want to do that, right? If you have that 30-minute block, something knocks you off track, and then you find out how to get back on task. And let's say that was my 30-minute reading block. In the first 10 minutes, I'm off track because I had an emergency or I had an incidental that came up. Then get back on task and get 20 minutes worth of reading. Don't just say, well, I can't get my 30 minutes of reading in, so I'm not going to do anything, right? So get back on task and keep moving and pick up your schedule and keep going. But if you don't have a schedule, what you end up doing is having a whole lot of tasks in your head and really never doing anything because you're just busy all day. And you end up not being productive because you didn't do anything that you wanted to get done. Anybody ever, right? You experienced that before, right? You were busy all day, but I was unproductive. And you have to understand the difference between the two. So when I talk to a person that all they say is, oh, I'm so busy. I had a whole lot going on today. Yeah, okay. I see I meet those people all the time, right? And so if you were to say, well, so let's itemize that. I want you to tell me what you actually got accomplished. What did you do since you were so busy? And people will struggle with that, right? So I have my employees to do that. Like, let's talk about what you did today. Productive. What did you do? Productive today. And I want them to be able to itemize that. Not for me, but if they need to have that conversation with someone about how productive they were in the office today, then they should be able to explain that. What did I actually get done? And we shouldn't be winging it. Does everybody understand? All right. Number 12 is move your body, refer to your action plan. Number 13 is take deliberate action. So once you refer to your action plan, then you have to take action. You have to know that this is what I'm supposed to do at that particular time. And then you need at least 3 things to do repetitiously. So what are going to be those 3 non-negotiable things that I know based on the data, right? What am I going to do? And I need to do this repetitiously. So I got to be very deliberate about this action that I'm going to take. Because everybody should have some non-negotiables. And those non-negotiables should be things that you're going to do every day. And we have some normal non-negotiables, right? But I'm talking about some goal-oriented things that you're going to accomplish every day. And then you be about that. Okay. 14 is plug into your resources, stay charged and updated with good information. So that's the reason why I stay plugged in. I got to stay plugged into the information. I like to say be underneath the spout where good information is coming out and fill your cup to overflow. That's what you want to do. You'll always be doing that. If you have a good resource like a coach or a mentor or a leader, you want to talk to them as more than they talk to you. You want to talk to them more than they talk to you. Because if there's somebody of that caliber, trust me, they're dealing with more people than just you. So you can't wait for them to reach out to you. You have to be always reaching out to them, always asking them questions. And you have to remember that that's a relationship that's consensual. So it's really not burdensome. Because if we agreed that I'm going to coach you as a client, then that's a consensual agreement. So it's never bothersome because I've committed myself to you. If I'm going to mentor you, then like people say, well, that's my mentor, but the mentor doesn't know that. Then he's not your mentor. It's very easy to call somebody that, but he's not a mentor unless he has agreed or she has agreed to sit in a passenger seat, right? And make sure you develop, because that's an intimate relationship, right? To make sure that you develop, because mentorship is different than leadership. Leadership is about the destination. Mentorship is about your development. And so if a person is committed to your development, it's like the disciples, that's what they got from Christ. They got leadership and they got mentorship from him, because it was more than just taking them to a destination, but it was also about their development, because through their development, they will be promoted to leadership positions. So this is the important piece that we have to understand. And so just doing those little things will help us to get unstuck when we're doing that. All right. Any questions about any of those 14 before I go to number 15?
Anybody on Facebook have any kind of questions or comments are they interested in saying, or you want to know, just type it in and I will read it out and it will be answered. Okay? Feel free to type it in. Okay?
Okay. So let's deal with number 15 here. And let's deal with number 15 here. And number 15 is going to be rest, recharge, and refocus on self-care. All right, we got to talk about that, right? Rest, recharge, and refocus on self-care. Now, getting unstuck can be a long haul for a bunch of reasons. right? And so in order for you to get unstuck, it may take a long time. It just depends on how stuck you are and what your reason for stuck is. And so we're going to talk about some of those reasons, but we're gonna connect it to resting, recharging, and refocusing on self-care. Here's what we have to understand. Anybody familiar with putting themselves on the back burner? Anybody ever done that before? Anybody ever said, like, and we wear that like a badge of honor. So we talk about putting ourselves on the back burner. We talk about things like putting other people before ourselves. Have we ever said that? I always put other people before me. Anybody ever did that before? Anybody ever said that before? Okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to stop saying that. I want you to stop saying that, and I want you to stop doing that. Now, here's the reason why, right? Because now you're gonna say, well, I'm supposed to put other people before myself. Well, my question to you is, who told you that? Because what you have to understand is you have to make yourself top priority. When you make yourself top priority, everything and everyone benefits from your self-care. Let me give it to you the way the scriptures give it to you. The scriptures tell us how to love the Most High with all our heart, our mind, our soul, right? All our might. It talks about how we should love Him. Is that not the truth? But it also says this, that we should love our neighbor as ourself. But if you don't know how to properly love yourself, self-love, self-care, if you haven't mastered that, it's impossible for you to display that to someone else because you don't know what it takes. But if you know what it takes, I can give it to Evangelist Green if I've given it to myself. Does everybody follow me? Say it again. Y'all follow me? Yeah. So it's impossible for me to be able to show that or demonstrate that level of love to someone else if I haven't learned to manage it and master it for myself. And I'm making myself a top priority, not in a selfish way, but I'm doing it in a self-empowering way. Because the more self-empowered I am, then the better I can be a resource to other people. It's like the scripture says, after thou art converted, strengthen thy brother. So it's your conversion that must come first. You have to love thy neighbor as thyself. So that means I have to have, right, a healthy level of self-love, self-care, and then from that, I will establish that relationship, right, with my brethren. Does everybody understand? So it's important for us to understand how to do that first. And so many of us are spending our time focused on other people and not ourselves. Even when it comes to my own negative feedback. Like how do I have to deal with the issues of other people? I deal with the issues of other people after I've dealt with my own issues. The beam must always take precedence over the mote. The beam must always come first because the beam is in my own eye and I've got to deal with that issue first. So it's always you are the priority. I am the priority, not in a selfish way, but in a self-empowering way. And we have to know how to do that. Okay? So rest, recharge, refocus on self-care. So sometimes you may get stuck because of unclear direction. So write that down, unclear direction. If you have unclear direction, you'll end up getting stuck. Sometimes people stay stuck because they do not actually know what the next step is, or maybe they think they should know. and that pressure makes them freeze. Clarity often unfolds slowly, especially when you stop forcing it. So sometimes you have to stop trying to force things to happen and just allow them to happen. You ever heard somebody say you have to make it work, especially when people give you relationship advice. They'll say, you got to work hard, you got to make it work. You ever heard somebody say it before?
Yeah.
No, you shouldn't be making.
Excuse me. Hello?
Yes,
Hello? Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, I have a problem getting in because I want to was to good evening everyone.
Good evening, sir.
I wanted was to get in on this
Okay.
leadership and mentorship,
Yeah.
but I just could not get through.
Oh, okay, no problem. We can
My
back up.
reception here is not good.
Okay, we can back up.
Okay, leadership and mentorship.
Mhm.
Could you just spend a little time, just about 2 seconds on that for me, please?
Yeah, well, really, it's 4 layers, sir. It's leadership, mentorship, coaching, and modeling, role modeling, right?
Okay.
So it's leadership, mentorship, coaching, modeling. Okay. And so leaders provide information and instruction that leads to a destination. So typically, as a leader, I position myself out front and I'm taking you to a destination and you're simply following me. So that's what leaders do. It's, hey, I'm taking you to a destination. Come go with me. That's leadership. So I'm going to give you information and instruction that leads to a destination. Mentorship is more intimate than leadership because mentorship is about the development of someone else. So I don't take a position out front. Generally, I take a position alongside an individual and I let you learn by doing. And I give you instructions, but I let you take the wheel. It's like driver's ed, right? The professional will sit on the passenger side, put you behind the wheel, give you instructions, and let you drive. That's mentorship because it's about
Mentorship.
developing. Yes. So that's why it's more intimate than leadership because it's about you developing into, in the example that I just gave, a better driver. But in order for that to happen, I've got to put you behind the wheel. See the difference? Right? Yes. Okay. Now, coaching is different in the sense that you provide information and instruction that leads to positive results. And this is the reason why you have to understand when you are getting coached, it will be difficult sometimes because the coach's job is to help you get the results that you say that you want by any means necessary. So it's more, it's more about it's results driven than anything. And are you getting the results? If the answer to that question is no, then we're going to change your equation. And you may not always like that. But the truth of the matter is, I'm tied to the results. And that may not always feel good to you. But when I change the equation, it will be good for you. But you got to allow the coach, as a client, you have to allow the coach to squeeze you if you need to be squeezed.
That's right.
Right. And so that relationship is important. And again, that's a consensual relationship because they can't coach you unless they agree to coach you. Right. And so that should be a consensual, right, relationship. And so it should be easier. I didn't say easy because it will never be easy, but it should be easier. Yes, it should be.
That's the difference with the two.
Yes, it should be easier because of the agreement. Does everybody understand? Yes, because of the agreement. And so everything is about information and instruction. So you got the information and instruction that leads to a destination, information and instruction that leads to development, and then information and instruction that leads to positive results. And then you have what we call a role model, or the person who is modeling it for you. They are the example of the information and instruction because you look at them and see what it looks like. You see how it should be done. So now I model that thing for you. It's not just instruction, it's demonstration. So you should be able to look at my life and see that the instruction that I'm giving you is actually the application. I can see it. Now, the scripture said this way. It says, the scripture says it this way. It says, letting your light so shine. So, but watch this. So that men can see your good works. Do y'all remember that piece?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now, okay, so that's the thing. Is we love to say, let your light so shine, and we stop. We love our
Yeah, leave it there. Yeah,
we love our cliches.
that's right.
Okay, right. You just told me what, but you didn't show me how.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, letting my light shine is not a cliche.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mandate. Because people are supposed, what does that mean? That means the onlookers should see something.
Yes.
Because it says, so that men shall see your good works, the good deeds, the good principles, the good practices that you have in place in accordance to what is written. So you are producing the kind of results that people are enlightened by. That's the light shining. Does everybody understand?
Yes, that's beautiful right there.
Yes. So
Thank you.
it's that light shining. I like to uh man, it's escaped me right now. Solar
Uh,
lights. It came to me. Thing. Okay.
yeah.
So the solar lights, right? So we, as long as we're connected to the greater source of light, I'm going to give it to you this way. We're connected to the greater source of light. We become the lesser light. And so the greater source of light is what charges us up. So as long as we remain in position to the direct light that we receive the greater light and we become the lesser light. Because there will be a time when the lesser light must shine.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Remember, you hear me say this often. He who does everything doesn't do anything without us. So the Most High does everything, but he doesn't do everything that he does.
I
The
get
Most
you.
everything, but he doesn't do everything that he does. Because most of what he does through things or through people.
Yes.
That's the reason why we have to allow him to use us. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we have to allow him to use us, but we have to qualify for use.
Mm.
These are the things that most people never talk about. But it's the truth. You know, the reason why they don't talk about it is because this is all on us.
Yes.
Because it's very easy to tell who's qualified and who's not.
Mm-hmm.
Because the evidence is there. So your good works must be seen. And when they see your good works, now watch this. When they see your good works, they see your good deeds, they see your good principles, they see your good practices. When they see your good results, and they see the source of your information. Where am I getting the data? And the data is coming from the book of Holy Scriptures and the supporting documentation that complements it. So now, when they see that, when they see that data, they see that information, they see your results, they see those principles, they see those practices, right? When they see all of the evidence, then they begin to glorify the Most High.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes. That's how it works.
So we impact people's faith by what they hear. So we have to have good information. So faith cometh by what? Hearing. So what do they hear? They have to hear good information. Right?
That's right.
But our ears help us hear. Our eyes help us listen.
That's right.
And so that means now we got to give them something to see. Because as they see, they believe. So now faith cometh first to believe in the possibilities. They haven't seen it yet. But then when you show them what it looks like and they see the results, then it instills belief and increases that belief over time. So then they believe it can be done, and then they believe that they can do it too. Does everybody understand?
Yes, sir.
That's a great responsibility. And we all have that burden. But we can be encouraged that the burden is light. It is a burden, but it's a light burden. It is a yoke, but it's an easy yoke. Are you following me?
Yes.
So we need clear direction, because if you have unclear direction, you can get stuck. Okay? Did I answer your question, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, you did.
All right.
I hope the press is listening.
Yeah. So, yeah, just making sure we understand that. All right. All right, let me go back to the second thing I was talking about here. Let's talk about resistance is not bad. So this is what we got to understand, right? Resistance is not bad. You might feel inner resistance to change. This is what I want you to understand, because most of y'all are going to find yourself in this position, especially when you're being challenged, right? And so those of us that are inside kingdom culture, you're in the assembly and you haven't been challenged. Okay, but now it's time for us to see it and do it differently. It's time for us to be challenged, because when you're challenged, it brings out the best in you. You follow me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Gold is tried in the fire. Is that not the truth? It's after that I've tried you. So that means you have to be challenged. You got to be tested. You got to be challenged. And if you want to be gold, you're going to have to go through the fire.
Exactly.
That's a part of it.
Purification stage.
That's a part of it.
Yes.
Right? That's a part of it. Right? So you might feel inner resistance to change, not because you're weak, but because your system is trying to protect you. The brain often prefers familiar over better. Working with that resistance, not against it, is a part of the journey. So you have to experience that. Right now, I'm in a neuroscience coach training for certification and learning more about how the intricate parts of the brain function, right? And so it's been wonderful so far. It's a lot, but it's been wonderful. So, but the more we understand it, because it's the Most High's, AI has nothing on what the Most High created. Because watch this, AI is man's creation.
Yes.
from God's creation. All right.
All right. All
Okay.
right.
AI is man's creation from God's creation.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what we have to understand.
A copy.
Yeah, so what we have to understand that what we put together, there will always be issues with it because we have issues with us.
Mm.
And so we have to make sure that we have to try the things that we create and make sure we don't come contradictory to what the scriptures teach. So we always have to stay in alignment. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But it's important for us to understand. I just threw that in. But anyway, so resistance is not bad. You just understand that change is going to be there. But your mind and your brain is going to always choose familiar over better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Your mind choose familiar over better.
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So resistance is not bad. Also, we must understand that healing is not linear. Okay. Healing is not linear. We're teaching a class right now on that healing, wholeness, and wellness. Right. And so healing is not linear, which means that progress rarely goes in a straight line. So when you progress, sometimes you're going to go a little bit here, you're going to be going, a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right. You're still moving forward, but progression is rarely in a straight line. There are going to be good days, there are going to be bad days, there are going to be breakthroughs, there are going to be backslides, there are going to be confusion, there are going to be silence. All these things are going to happen, right? But it does not mean that you're not moving forward. What it means is that you are human.
Could you repeat one thing for me, please? Your brain
It's
chooses what?
familiar over better.
For me, okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Right? So we just have to understand that and stop getting frustrated with ourselves. We talk about the inner critic, right? The inner critic is most of the time it's really killing us.
Mm-hmm.
Because we could have a desire for better. And the inner critic kills us before, like we think everything is the devil, and it's not. Everything is not the devil. He does a lot. He didn't do everything. We give the rascal too much credit. He doesn't do
That's
everything.
right. He's
No.
He's in his bed sleeping.
Well, yeah, he doesn't do everything, and he doesn't
Yes.
have to do everything. Like, think about it this way. I said, he who does everything doesn't do anything without us. So if the Most High, who does everything, but he doesn't do anything without us. Okay, so if it's true about that as it relates to the Most High, then the enemy has the same desire.
Mm-hmm.
Is he wants to get credit for doing everything, but he doesn't do anything without us. So he wants us to be involved in everything that he does. So all he simply has to do is watch what he does. All he has to simply do is be the reason or the cause of pain, trauma, bad experiences, bad events. Like, he has to be the root cause of those things. But watch this. It's the damage that they cause that we cling to and don't break free from. He doesn't have to be around for that. Because once that's instilled, then we keep that process going. Does everybody understand?
Yeah.
Yes. See, because here's the thing. What we experience, let's think about negative experiences. What we experience is, let me say it this way. What we experience when it's a negative experience, watch this. The negative experiences happen once in most instances. Those experiences happen once. And when they happen, it's the replay of that incident. It's putting that incident on replay. Because when it happens, it's painful. Is it not? So the individual, the incident or the event, the experience creates pain. It's putting that experience on replay that creates suffering.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want you to think about just for the sake of this conversation, because we're talking about getting stuck. Let's think about something that you would say is a negative experience that happened to you. And just think about it real quick. You don't have to say it out loud or anything. I just want you to put it in your mind, right? Something that happened to you that you did not like. It gave you a negative feeling, or it was a negative experience. It happened to you, right? It doesn't have to be traumatic. It could just be something that was painful. Everybody got something? Okay, great. So that incident that you're thinking about, that incident happened one time. It was painful. What takes that incident from pain to a state of suffering is you replaying the event. The enemy has to be the root cause of the pain, but you put it on replay. He doesn't have to do that. If you put it on replay, he can go to somebody else because the damage has been done. And so now how you manage the damage is going to determine whether or not you go from a painful state into a state of suffering. Does everybody understand that? And so what we end up doing is we end up putting it on replay. It's like right now, if you were to put a song on that you like, you put the song on one time, but if you put it on replay, you don't ever have to do anything. It's just gonna keep playing over and over and over. You ain't got to tell it. You tell it one time, right? And then once you put that on replay, it's gonna do the same thing over and over. That song will be playing in the morning. When you wake up in the morning, that song will still be playing because you put it on replay. But you only put the song on one time. But because you put it on replay, it never stops. Does everybody understand? So the question is, what have you put on replay that keeps going? It's looping in your life. And it's not looping because the devil is there. It's not looping because you're cursed. It's not looping that no, it's looping because you put it on replay. And if you put it on replay long enough, you will begin to identify with that pain. You will identify with that traumatic experience. You'll become one with it. And you'll begin to see yourself that way. And then the loop is what validates that for you. These are all things that not lead to healing and holiness and a life of wellness, but it really leads you down that perpetual state into the abyss. And you have to be rescued. But because we generally don't talk about these things, one, we don't identify that we're doing it. And two, we don't have someone to rescue us when these things happen. Because contrary to what most people think, that you have to be delivered or rescued spiritually and naturally. And that's what you have to understand. So we have to go through our process. We have to go through our process. And that's why we need gifted people in the assembly who understand how to get that done. And we work in accordance with the scriptures to get it done. So everybody understand?
Yeah, that's clear. That's clear.
Okay. 16. Write this down. Stay in motion to completion. Stay in motion to completion. You will not get from where you are to where you want to be if you keep stopping. Some of us are going in the right direction. We are even making good time. We make too many pit stops. Does everybody understand that? We make too many pit stops. Anybody ever been a road warrior before? Come on, Dr. Green. I know you used to be a road warrior. You take them long trips and drive all the way from where you live in New York, go all the way down to Mississippi, right? And you might sleep weeks, right? Yeah, okay. So if you've been a road warrior, you understand what it's like to take a long road trip. That long road trip can be very frustrating if you're taking it with a person that you got to keep stopping all the time.
Talk to me.
Yeah, if you got to keep stopping all the time, it can become very frustrating because it will affect your arrival time.
Yes.
This is what's wrong with a lot of us also. And we love to say that he may not come when we want him to come, but he's always right on time. That's true about him. But we can be late.
About us?
Yeah,
we late all the time.
Yeah, we late all the time because we let everything prevent us from staying in motion to completion. We're constantly stopping. Yeah, we're constantly stopping. Does everybody get it? Yeah.
Don't be shy. Come on and ask. Okay, doctor.
Okay. So we end up stopping. And so what we have to do is we have to keep going, stay in motion to completion. That's the important thing, right? Let me give you a quote really quick, right? It says, keep moving forward. Shifting from drive to reverse generally happens after you stop. So this is a metaphor that deals with life as it relates to driving, right? When you're in drive and you're moving forward, you can't go from drive to reverse without stopping. And this is what I'm trying to get you to understand is if you keep moving forward, it's impossible for you to go in reverse. In order for you to go in reverse, you have to come to a complete stop. And this is the problem, is if you find yourself going backward in your life, it's generally because you have stopped your forward motion. And so what I'm saying to you is, don't stop your forward motion. Keep moving forward. Even if you have to go at a snail's pace, it is still progress. Just don't stop. Does that make sense?
Yes. Might take you a while, but you will get there.
Yes, absolutely. I was going to go through this, but I'm not. I was going to really kind of break down what I mean by that, but I'm just going to say stop stopping, right? This is the part that because there's too many folks that are not in the room. So I would have to go through it. You have to really see some of this stuff, right, to really get the effect. But anyway, so keep your forward motion. Don't stop, right? Slow down if you have to, but don't stop, because the moment you stop, listen, you are either going to be progressing or regressing. Nobody stays the same. Anybody ever put their car in neutral before?
Run
Yeah.
away.
Here's something I can tell you. Here's something I can tell you. Neutral is not park. No, neutral is neutral. But here's the thing about neutral. All it takes is the slightest amount of momentum.
Yeah.
And you're either going forward or you're going back.
That's right.
Yes, absolutely. That's what I'm trying to get you to understand now. It's like, so you don't stay the same. You're either progressing or you're regressing. So keep your forward motion. Okay? Now, 17, write this down. Do not stop. I just said that, right? So do not stop. Stay in motion to completion. And then I said, do not stop. Okay? 18. This is important. Write this down. Do not over-identify with the situation. Now, remember what I was talking about, putting it on replay and then you identify with it, right? Okay. So let's say, do not over-identify with the situation. All right, Sister Barr, I'm going to use you. You ready? I'm going to give you an example. Here's what I mean when I say do not over-identify with the situation. You can easily say, I am stuck. You could tell somebody that. You could say, I need assistance, I need help because I am stuck. Right?
Right.
But when you say it that way, you're over-identifying with the situation. Here's what I want you to say. I want you to say it differently. Instead of saying, I am stuck, say, I feel stuck.
Okay.
See the difference?
Mm-hmm.
Because to feel stuck is an experience. You're not identifying with it, but you're keeping it separate from who you are. It's what's happening to you, but it has nothing to do with who you are, right? So it's not I am stuck. It's I feel stuck.
And that sounds temporary.
Exactly. And it's temporary because it's able to be it's able to be changed. Does everybody understand? You follow me? So you say instead of saying I am stuck, say I feel stuck. Watch this. Instead of saying I am sick, right?
Yes.
So instead of saying I am sick, what should you say?
I feel sick.
I feel sick. Does everybody see that? Does that make sense? You're looking at me like it doesn't make sense. So I'm going by your face. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Thanks very much. Yes. Very.
I understand.
Because look at what number 18 says. There's
Do
a
not
difference.
over-identify with the situation.
There's a difference between acknowledging that something is happening to you and identifying with what's happening. Does everybody understand? There's a difference
Mm-hmm.
between acknowledging something is happening to you and identifying with what is happening. I don't want to identify with what is happening to me. I do want to acknowledge it, but I don't want to identify with it. So when you use your I am statements, your I am statement should always be positive. I am encouraged. I am blessed. I am like those I am statements should always be positive because they will have the same impact if you make them negative.
Mm.
If they're positive, they will empower you. If you make them negative, they will imprison you. Are you following me? So you have to be careful how you use your words. You can never be casual with your words. Okay? Number 19. Do not make the stuck area the only thing in your life. Now, this is a part that I want y'all to understand. 19 is do not make the stuck area the only thing in your life. Now, what do I mean by that? Remember that each situation that makes you feel stuck is just one part of your life. It's just one part of your life. All right, watch this. Anybody ever woke up in the morning and getting yourself ready for work and then you everything's going good and you get on the highway and somebody does something out there and it happens to you and immediately you over identify with the situation because the moment you start talking to somebody about it you say things like this, boy, it's gonna be a bad day today. It's you'll say stuff like that. It's gonna be a bad day today, or you'll say something like, ain't nothing going right. Ain't nothing going right this morning. What are you doing? You're over identifying with the situation, right? Which is what we should not do. But you over identify with the situation. And so you'll say, I'm having a bad day. Well, somebody said, what's wrong with you? You say, I'm having a bad day. Well, wait a second now. You just got out of the house. It's early in the morning. You haven't even hit the halfway point of your day, but you've already labeled it as a bad day because of one thing that happened in your life. One thing, one moment is going to define your whole day. Does everybody understand? So you got to be careful not to do that. Don't let one bad moment mess up your whole day.
Sometimes if you go through a little moment like that quick moment, maybe it's for a reason, to slow you down for something because maybe there's something that's ahead of you that you shouldn't be there.
Could be.
You never know.
Yeah, could be. Because our life happens in increments of time. So we don't know what's on the other side of that moment that you're having, right? Whether it's a good moment or a bad moment, we know, right, that all things work together, good, bad, or indifferent, right? So we know that, and because we know that, we have to be mindful of the fact that we gotta give thanks for everything,
Exactly. It's just
right?
like, for instance, I don't mean to cut you off, but just like, for instance, I'm going somewhere and I know where I'm going, but why am I going around in circles? Why did I get off here? I know where I'm going, why am I going the other way? And then find out there was an accident ahead of me. So it wasn't meant for me to go that way. I was led to go another way.
Mhm.
So I have to give thanks because I didn't go that way. I could have been the one in that accident.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all of those things will come into play when we're doing this. But I want you to just understand how important it is to never be casual with your words. Right? Okay. Number 20. Do not beat yourself up. If you're stuck or you feel stuck, guess what you're going to do? If you beat yourself up, you're going to stay in that same state.
That's getting beat up.
You got to remember that, right? The feeling of being stuck can be frustrating, but treat yourself with self-compassion, right? See the related experiences as isolation, exaggeration, or disconnection, not self-pity, right? We're not doing that, right? Feelings of separation and to exaggerate the extent of personal suffering. So again, don't beat yourself up. If you go through something and it's painful, don't let pain become suffering because you put it on replay. What helps you keep from putting it on replay is forgiveness. Forgiveness will help you keep from putting it on. That's why forgiveness is important for you.
Hmm.
It's a tool for you because if you hold on to it, then you will more than likely put it on replay.
Mm.
And even if your situation, your environment, your circumstances, even if all of that stuff changes, if you're still holding on to the pain of what happened and you put it on replay, you will be in a state of suffering. There are some people who are miserable in their current relationship because of pain from their previous relationship. So they're suffering in a relationship because of pain from a previous relationship. And it has nothing to do with what's happening in the current relationship. It's all tied to their previous experience. So they're in a state of suffering because of pain that they've put on replay. So I understand?
Mm-hmm.
We have to be careful not to do that. Okay? 21. No BCD. All right? BCD. BCD stands for blaming, complaining, or defending.
Oh, complaining. Say that again.
No BCD. No blaming, complaining, or defending, which is something that we can do often. And blaming, complaining, and defending will make you feel stuck a lot. Okay? Got it. All right, let me go by that. All right. 22. Do not doubt your ability or your capacity. Do not doubt your ability or your capacity. Now let's understand the difference between the two. Okay? Your ability is about a current skill that you have, right? It could be a mental or a physical skill, but it's a current skill that you have. Your capacity is about your potential to develop a skill.
Mm.
Maximum limit is what your individual maximum limit is, right? And so when you talk about your ability and your capacity, that's the difference between where you currently are and where you can be. So what you don't do is don't get in the habit of comparing yourself to other people, because all of our capacities are different. We have different capacities. We have different abilities, and we have different capacities. So what you're doing is you're comparing yourself where you are to your capacity or your maximum limit. So if my maximum limit, just for the sake of conversation, is a 10 and I'm at a 6, then I need to get to a 10. And that's what I'm working on every day. And that's where my focus lies. Now, the scriptures call us vessels, right? But all vessels don't have the same capacity. All vessels don't have the same substance. All vessels don't have the same responsibility. The assignment is different. Like, this bottle here is a vessel, is it not? This is a vessel. This is a vessel. They're not all the same. They don't have the same capacity. So if I were to take this vessel and I were to fill it all the way up to its capacity, then this vessel is full. It makes no sense for me to take this vessel and compare it to this vessel. They're not the same. The only thing I should be worried about is filling the vessel that I am. I'm not worried about what you are and what Dr. Green is and anybody else. I'm not worried about that. I'm gonna focus on me. I want to make sure I can get my vessel filled. And my focus is not on other people. So I want to meet the best version of me. And that's what I'm working on every day. That's my challenge. It's me against me. It's me so that I'm the best possible version of myself. And how do I get there every day? And whenever I'm not measuring up, I'm not thinking about other people at all. I'm just thinking about me.
Yeah. Because you have to be focused first.
Yes, you have to be focused first, but where is your focus?
There you go. That's it.
Where is your focus? Your focus has to be on you.
You.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I was in a business meeting one time, and they said, raise your hand and tell us what your why is. You know, and everybody was like, yeah, you know, I'm doing this for my wife, or I'm doing this for my husband, or I'm doing this for my children, or I'm doing this for my mom, I'm doing this for whatever, right? And so they got around to me, and I said, all those things sound good, but I ain't doing it for none of those things. They said, why are you doing it? I said, because I want to be the best version of me that I can be. That's why I'm doing it. I said, now, if I'm the best version of me that I can be, then my wife's gonna benefit, my children's gonna benefit, my parents gonna, my siblings gonna benefit, my friends gonna benefit. Like, people are going to benefit because I'm at my best every day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not doing anything I do for anybody else. However, if you are in position, then favor will fall on you if you get in position and stay in position. If you get out of the blessed place, then favor won't fall on you. but you got to get in position. But I have to be the best version of myself every day. That's why I do it.
Mm.
Somebody asked me the other day, the same thing. It's like, so you do all this studying and the stuff you do and everything's like, no, they were talking about that, but they made a reference to they love to help people. It's like, oh, I love to help people, blah, blah, whatever the case may be. I'm listening to him. He's one of my clients. He was talking. And he said, like you, Doc, you know, you love to help people. So it's kind of like that. And I said, you know the difference between me and you? And he said, what? And I said, you love to help people because you need that. You need that to help you feel good about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
See, because you struggle with self-esteem issues. And the more you do for others, it makes you feel good about yourself. So you seek to find people to help that need your help so that you can feel good about you. So what you do is more for you than it is for them. You just don't realize it. He got pretty emotional. Yeah, that's the difference. See, like I said, for me, I don't do this to help people. No. I do this for me. And because of what I do for me, I'm in position to help people. I help people because I can. I ain't looking for people to help. I mean, what are we talking about? You actually think I'm waking up looking for people to help? No. I'm waking up every day to be fully equipped for when people need my help. Watch this. So for those of y'all I love the people who are silent in the background checking me. All right, I'm gonna show you this. The woman that got healed from the issue of blood. Was Christ going to see her?
No.
He wasn't going to see her, was he?
No.
Was he going to look for her?
No.
Was he going to look for her so he could help her?
No, sir.
But he helped her because he could.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't going looking for her. Was he?
No.
Yes, exactly. When he had dinner at Simon's house and the unnamed and the uninvited showed up, did he go there to help her?
No, sir.
He didn't. He helped her because he could.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand?
That's right.
The centurion came and asked of Christ to do a favor. Was he going to help him?
Mm-mm.
No, he wasn't. He helped him because he could.
Mm-hmm.
See, what we need to do, super sanctimonious people, is we need to follow the example. The example is to be at your best every day, so that when the time comes for you to help someone, you can. See, remember when he cast the spirits out of the man? Do y'all remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And the disciples wanted to do the same thing, but they couldn't. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
The disciples asked the question, why can't we do what you just did? Because that's what we want to do. But why couldn't we do it? Christ simply said to them, because you're not at your best. Because these come out by what? Fasting and prayer. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Fasting and prayer puts you at your best. How do I get at my best every day? It's about what you do. See, this is we're thinking everything is divine. No, the divine is always at work, but you got to be at your best.
You know that what you just explained here,
Yes.
I think I could safely say it's confusing to some people
Why?
because they went ahead of the understanding.
What does that mean?
Because Christ did not go looking for these people. They came to him.
Exactly. Exactly.
And he helped them because he could.
Exactly.
But if I was just coming in on the conversation and don't know the value of scriptures,
Yes.
I would say that sound mean.
It sounds.
You see what I mean?
You said.
I would say it sound mean. But because I'm listening to the whole conversation, the whole explanation,
yes,
and the scriptures came into play, now it should be plain to anyone who's listening.
Okay, are they going to follow me? Here's what I will say to that person.
Mm-hmm.
Is what you must understand.
Yes.
In demonstration of the king.
That's right.
Always demonstrating. We should always be duplicating.
Exactly.
But what we must understand about the duplication, about the demonstration. What he demonstrates to us is the power and the importance of preparation.
Yes.
Notice every single thing that the king encountered, he prepared himself for.
Mm-hmm.
Do y'all understand that?
That's right.
So he talks about the power of preparation. He says, you want to do something supernatural. You want the spirits to be subject to you, and you're not at your best.
Not going to happen.
He says, if you want them to listen to you, you have to listen to you.
Yes.
You know what that means? You know how much discipline and self-discipline you have to display to live a life of fasting and prayer? That takes a minute. Do you follow me?
Yes, sir.
He says, they not going to listen to you because you don't listen to you.
That's right.
So he says, if you want to do that, there's some things you must do.
Must. The operative word, must.
Yes, because he says, if you do first things first, when these opportunities come, and they will,
you will be ready.
You'll be in position.
Yes.
You'll be able to help them because you can.
Uh-huh.
Not because you go. Listen, every time Christ did something, he did it because the people sought it.
Yeah.
Christ wasn't arrogant. He wasn't walking around showing his power. He didn't run to the local hospital and say, I just start laying hands on people. He didn't do that.
Come on.
I mean, no, he didn't do that. This is what I'm talking about. He wasn't a sideshow. He didn't do that. He didn't live his life that way. But he was prepared when the opportunity presented itself.
Yes.
And he puts emphasis on that for us, is to spend your time in preparation so that when the time of execution comes, you are prepared. When the challenge comes, you are prepared to meet it head on. It's about the preparation.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is about the preparation.
That's right.
Yes. You remember when David had his encounter with Goliath?
Uh-huh.
Now, in order for David to believe that he actually stood a chance in that encounter, he had to go through his preparation.
There you go.
And the preparation for David was his encounter with the bear.
Mm-hmm.
The preparation for David was his encounter with the lion.
That's right.
Yes, because what David needed is David needed courage and confidence that he could actually deliver what is it? He's going to deliver them out of the hands of the Philistines.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he won't believe that he could actually do that unless he had delivered his father's sheep out of the mouth of the lion.
That's right.
He had to take the sheep out of the mouth of the bear. You got to remember now, the lion and the bear already had the sheep in its mouth.
Yes, sir.
He had to go and deliver it. Now, this is what I did one time to really get a full, I really want the visual of what that was like. So what I did was I went on YouTube and I started looking at a bear devour his kill.
Mm-hmm.
I watched the lion devour his kill. And what I watched was like a lion had made a kill, and I watched all these hyenas that showed up on the scene.
Yes, sir.
To try to take his kill from him.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched how he guarded that kill, and that was a very different kind of, he did that with a very different kind of persona.
Mm-hmm.
Do you follow me? That was not going to be they came for it to be a hostile takeover, but they walked away with something very different.
Never happened.
Okay, so now, if you actually go back and you look at it and you see what that looks like, imagine what a adolescent boy has to be up against when he is going to take the lion's kill.
Mm.
Do y'all understand? Like sometimes we read these stories like they aren't real. Do you understand what that would have had to be like? Now, he hadn't killed a sheep yet, but he had caught it.
Yes.
And he had it in its mouth. So he was going to run off to the brush, and then he's going to kill it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So David had time to rescue it, but that was not going to be easy.
No.
But because he was able to do it, not just once, but twice.
Twice.
And he knew that the Most High's strength was with him.
Mm-hmm.
Then he had the confidence to believe that he would deliver right out of the hands of this Philistine. Because I got the evidence. I have the data points.
Yeah.
Are you following me?
Exactly.
What I'm trying to get you to understand is the power and the importance of preparation. If we look at the examples that we have, said a lot of times people are they're so deeply embedded in things they think they know, or some things that they've been taught, that they're not open enough to hear truth.
That's right.
The truth of the matter is we got to be able to look at the scriptures and see exactly what the scriptures are teaching, and let's look at it. And what I'm trying to get you to understand is like your ability, your capability, your own capacity, like we all have it. And we just have to understand that I've got to focus on being at my very best every day. How can I be at my very best so everything and everybody benefits because I am at my best?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm doing. I'm trying to be at my best. And if you're trying to be at your best, and then when opportunities present themselves, you are prepared to meet them head on
Head on.
because you're at your best.
That's right.
And that's where he wants us to be every day. And that's a challenge. That's not easy. Just because I said it doesn't mean it's easy. It's something that you need to focus on. We all do.
Mm.
But how do I get to be at my best every day? And that's what we're doing. We're working on that. And we're giving you tips. We're giving you tools. We're giving you techniques. We're giving you teaching, trainings, all these things we're doing to help you become better at being prepared. That's what you want to be. You want to be prepared. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Sound teaching.
Any questions? Because we're about to be out of time. Any questions before we wrap up?
Does anybody on Facebook have any questions or comments on what we just said? Please type it in and if we read, we have a few minutes.
This is sound teaching. Preparation is the key to overcome any obstacle. And if we are not prepared, we'll never overcome it.
Yes. Preparation is the key to execution.
Yes, that's the word, execution.
Yeah. Write that down. Preparation is the key to execution.
Yes.
You can't execute properly if you're not prepared. If you're ill prepared, you will not execute properly. I'm just telling you. It's like trying to go out. Like if you're sitting down watching the NBA playoffs right now, teams that don't practice don't win.
Mm-mm.
No, you could draw up all the strategies that you want. But if you don't practice them plays, if you don't run them plays over and over and over and over and over to the point where you can add in some audibles and this, like you got to study that stuff. You gotta do it over and over and over.
That's right.
To be successful. And it's still hard. Because every play that you're trying to execute, you got a defense out there that's trying to stop you.
Stop it.
Yes. And those guys on defense are just as good as you are on offense. That's what it's like when we're up against the enemy. And the enemy can be naturally or spiritually. We're up against the enemy every day. And the question is who's better prepared? That's the question. Who's better prepared? All right. I yield back the balance of my time.
I know.
You have anything you want to say? Closing?
That's good.
Dr. Green, go ahead and close out.
Everything was very transparent in explanation, and I'm grateful for that. Everything was good. I didn't hear much of my friend tonight.
We appreciate him. We appreciate it.
I'm taking a whole lot of notes.
Well, that's good. We appreciate it.
Yes. Yes. I thank you all for coming. And those who are on the different platforms, thank you for listening. Someone from, I think, Georgia was trying to get in, but I tried to get the call, but it just cuts me out.
Okay.
But anyway, maybe next week they will be in. All right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And Dr. Benjamin, again, I say thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the opportunity, sir.
Yes, sir. Like a friend of mine would always say, job well done. All right.
Shall improve, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes. And the neurological.
Yes.
I like the sound of it. When you finish with it, throw me a bone, please.
Yes, sir. I will. Yeah. I will.
Okay.
All right.
Father in heaven, we thank you for this time. We thank you for what our ears have heard. Help us to retain, dear Father. Help us to continue to receive what you have placed in our direction. Give strength, endurance, patience, and more point of learning to our Dr. Benjamin, that he will continue to teach what he knows for our benefit. Keep us all together in unity and strength. In Jesus' name we do pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Have a blessed night.
Yes, sir. You too.
All right. Good.
And
Bye-bye.
tomorrow we'll be having Reverend Dr. Green come on tomorrow evening from 9 to 10:30. So come on in and tune in tomorrow. Amen. Good night.
All right. Good night.
Recording stopped.
That's okay. I had it. It didn't make too much of a ruckus. But this guy, he know we're doing something, and he just